What's going on, guys? It's Michael MGF, and today I'm going to be doing another custom LEGO minifigure showcase video. And for this video, I've got two new minifigures from the new CW series, The Flash. And I've got Barry Allen himself, The Flash, Captain Cold, Leonard Snart, and both of which I've been working on for about the past month. And I am definitely pretty happy with the way these figures turned out. And I'm really happy with the way the series itself is turning out, especially the fourth episode, which inspired me to make Captain Cold here, going rogue. That was super awesome. The entire series so far has been super awesome, and all the things they're setting up for, like Arrow versus The Flash, which is coming up pretty soon, the crossover episodes, and Reverse Flash, and so many awesome things that this show is already doing in its first season. I couldn't not make these two minifigures, so I've got these to start, and without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to start off with The Flash, and making The Flash, I mean, he turned out to be a pretty detailed minifigure, but like most minifigures I make, or actually I should say unlike most minifigures I make, he really doesn't have a ton of really tiny details. I mean, granted, everything I paint on my minifigures can be considered tiny details, but I mean, really, the entirety of his suit is just a lot of black lining, outlining, and just a lot of gold streaks and lightning bolts, pretty much. And I mean, painting-wise, it really wasn't that bad. Finding reference pictures, that was bad. But I mean, easily what was the worst was the Flash's mask here. And that's simply because the lightning bolts. And the lightning bolts were a huge pain because I had to cut them out of this like flexible plasticky material. I have no idea where I got it. I know it was a craft store, at least. It was Michael's, Hobby Lobby, or a local hobby store. I can't remember because I got the stuff like at the start of the year when we first started moving, and I can't remember, like I said, what the stuff was. I used it on my Falcon actually for my Captain America figures, but I mean, once again, I totally forget. I had some of it left over though, and I used it on the Flash here for his lightning bolts, and took me about 2 hours, maybe longer, but I finally cut out two lightning bolts that I thought looked pretty close to each other. You know, I thought that I tried to get them as identical as I could. Granted, they're not perfect, but I think they still worked out, and I'm pretty happy with the result. But let me know what you guys think, because those are easily, I would say, it was, like I said, the most difficult part about making the Flash were these lightning bolts. Aside from that, I can't really say it was a breeze, but it kind of felt like it was. But yeah, so aside from the incredibly difficult lightning bolts to make, and once again, that's kind of why I'm hesitant to just automatically start making Reverse Flash, even after those set photos, is because these lightning bolts, they're not easy to do. But once they were done, like I said, the rest of the minifigure was pretty much a breeze. I mean, I would say painting the lightning bolt on his chest, that was a huge pain, but it still turned out really awesome, and I still do like the end result. And the entire minifigure is obviously fully painted by me. You can see his face also fully painted. It's got pretty much the entire thing wraps all the way around. The red wraps all the way around. Then you put the cowl back on. And unfortunately, one of the downsides with making these minifigures that use the actual Flash mask, and I didn't even mention, the Flash's mask here is actually a modified Flash mask. If you've ever seen the Riddler Chase set that was released at the start of the year, the Flash cowl, if you've ever seen the LEGO Flash in general, the Flash was actually, this Flash helmet was made out of the original Flash helmet. So basically I had to pretty much remove the entirety of the original lightning bolts, and they were really, you know, they're like these really chunky and blocky lightning bolts. I got those off, and then pretty much just went from there by making my own lightning bolts. So I did that for Captain America, my Golden Age Captain America as well. But yes, you pretty much have already seen the face, and like I was going to go on to say there, that when using this Flash, you know, when modifying and using this Flash mask for a minifigure, the unfortunate thing is you kind of have to make the mouth a little bit lower than I would like, and that's actually okay. You'll find out why in just a second, why that's honestly perfectly okay, because I actually have my own Barry Allen head that I painted myself that I haven't actually shown to anyone yet, really, for the most part. And you can see, I mean, I would go over everything about my custom LEGO Flash minifigure here, but I'm just gonna leave it at every little bit that you think is painted is painted. All the dark red elements are completely painted. Like, you'll notice they're different. Obviously, you have the base LEGO dark red color, but for the most part, the entirety of all the different, you know, dark red sections that stand out were painted by me. And that includes everything inside the legs as well, and pretty much every little mark you see was fully hand painted by me. And I think it ended up looking really awesome as being the new Grant Gustin version of the Flash. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Now let's get a better look at the Barry Allen head that I was talking about. And this is what justifies having to paint the mouth on the Flash's actual head slightly lower, is because now I've given myself the option to switch out between the actual Flash head and this Barry Allen head that I've put together here. And I actually painted this pretty quickly, this face, and I'm curious what you guys think. I tried to get the resemblance to be as close as I could get it to Grant Gustin, and a lot of that had to do with the shaping of the eyebrows and the mouth in general. The mouth, I was really trying to do a smile for Grant Gustin, because he smiles a lot during the series, and unfortunately though, it just didn't look right, and I ended up going with what you see here. And he's using the standard sleepy hair that you guys have seen, I'm sure, and I did not paint it because honestly I think the color works and looks just, it looks fine the way it is. And also you'll notice that this is, I believe, the first time that I'm actually repurposing the Wild Style hood. This is the first time I'm actually getting to repaint it and use it for one of my minifigures, and so I think it actually turned out pretty nice, and it's a nice addition to this minifigure, not only having that hood but also having that head. And the reason I do have to paint the mouth slightly lower is just simply because of the way the mask is designed. It's just Lego's design that forces me to actually have to paint the mouth slightly lower, and the same can be said for my Captain America Golden Age suit. If you guys go back to that showcase, his mouth was also painted a little bit lower than what I would have liked. It's just something, it's just a little bit of a sacrifice that has to be made to make something look this awesome, and so having an alternative head like this definitely eases the pain, if you ask me. And maybe pain is a little bit too strong of a word, but I don't care. That's it for my version of the CW Flash, and let's go ahead and get a look at Captain Cold. Alright, so Captain Cold was definitely nowhere near as difficult to make as the Flash, but I mean, he still was definitely pretty interesting for me to make, because the lack of reference pictures was unbelievable. I mean, I don't even know what the back of him looks like at all. I mean, I barely even knew what the front of him looked like. All I knew was that he had this hood, these goggles, and this gun, and then it was just like, go. And so I tried to add whatever I thought he might have, but easily the one thing that I knew I was going to go straight for was the Brick Warriors Gears of War gun. And this is actually the Gnasher, but then I also heard from one of you guys that it's the Grinder shotgun. I don't know which, but it's one of those two names from Gears of War. I've never played Gears of War, but this is a Brick Warriors version of that, and it's a little bit bigger than I would have liked it to be, but honestly, this gun is the closest third-party weapon that I could find to Captain Cold's Cold Gun. And so I took it, I bought it, painted it, basically painted on the two little, blue sections on both sides to make it look as close to the Cold Gun as I could get it, painted on the black for the barrels on the front there, and I just pretty much tried to make what you can consider the Cold Gun. Even though it is a little bit big, I still think it's, it does the job, is what I'm trying to say. And so that's pretty much all there is to say about the Cold Gun. It wasn't overly difficult to make. It's just deciding what I was going to use was a little bit unfortunate, because I really did only have one option, but it still works. It still works. And the coat is a modified Cape Madness trench coat. I've done that many times for my minifigures, and it's just another modified Cape Madness trench coat with some buttons that I painted onto the left side, and then obviously the entire thing is painted in dark blue. But other than that, it's literally just a trench coat with very minimal detail. I mean, he really has a very simple outfit in the show. Now, one thing when I was talking about the reference pictures, I could not find anything of his torso or his legs, so I pretty much just painted on what you see there. I painted on some wrinkles, I painted a little bit of a collar there, I also painted on a belt buckle and a pair of boots. Other than that, I was like, what else am I supposed to do? I mean, there's literally nothing that I could have gone off of. And yeah, but one thing I did have a lot to go off of were his goggles. And capturing Wentworth Miller's Captain Cold in that face that you see there was definitely pretty important to me, because Wentworth Miller as an actor has such a presence when he's on screen. I remember my mom watching Prison Break when I was a kid, and I barely remember the show. I have not honestly seen it myself. I've only seen parts of it, but what I do remember is Wentworth Miller was a freaking badass, and so having him as Captain Cold, I knew I wanted to do this minifigure face of him justice, and so that's what I tried to do here. And the smile was something I wasn't going to do originally. Originally, he was going to have a much more stern face, sort of like the Superman mouth, if you guys know that. And but I just decided to go with the smile, because when the Flash first boards that train, you see Captain Cold smirk at one point. It just looked so awesome. I was like, okay, I'll go for that. And then he's also got the metallic blue lenses for the goggles that he wears. Obviously, they're more like safety goggles for the cold gun. There you got the black straps painted next to those. And then the entire hood is one of the Star Wars, I think it's been used in other sets, but I've only seen it in Star Wars sets like for Han Solo and things like that. This hood that I pretty much painted entirely dark blue and then painted the entire front of it in gray, light gray. So yeah, now one thing is this is actually more of a tan in the show, but honestly, that would have looked horrible on a minifigure, and I did not want to do that, so I painted it in light gray for those of you who might correct me on that. But yeah, guys, there's my Captain Cold and my Flash minifigures, my first minifigures for this series. I'm sure there'll be more in the future, but to start off, I've got these two. Let me know what you think in the comments. Without further ado, let's wrap up this showcase video. Alright guys, and there you go, the showcase video on my first two minifigures for The Flash, and if you enjoyed the showcase video or maybe found yourself inspired to make your own minifigures for The Flash, then be sure to let me know by dropping this video a like below and or your opinion in the comments, as both of which definitely mean a lot and definitely go a long way, man, as it is not easy to make these minifigures and they can sometimes be a big pain, and more importantly, I would mention The Flash's lightning bolts. Those were easily the biggest challenge out of making these two minifigures, as I already mentioned, and yeah, you can also follow me on the Twitter and the book face. Links to both of those are always down in the description below as well, and there I post all kinds of behind the scenes photos and more importantly preview photos of upcoming minifigures that I'm working on, such as Arsenal and Black Canary from Arrow Season 3 that I will be posting very soon within the next month after I get some Minecraft reviews out of the way and my Achievement Hunter micro-mops, which I also finished up pretty recently. So lots to do over in Rossland that I'm working on while obviously watching The Flash every Tuesday night, which has been awesome. I've been loving the story so far. Parts of it are a little bit cheesy, but it has still overall been one of the best TV series I've watched in a while, so that's a good thing, and that's why I made these minifigures, and that's why I'm gonna go. So I'll catch you guys later. Alright. Bye! Figures to celebrate the release. The release was 7 weeks ago, Ross. Listen, kid, I know you and I are not friends, but your friend, Harrison Wells, is not who he says he is. His real name is Professor Mr. Snart. How about you just let it go? Frozen! Alright. Bye! Shut up! Just means the world to me. Now I just sound weird. Why do I do these things to myself? The Flash, and if you're upcoming figures such as Arsenal and the Black Canary, that was a spoiler. Gosh damn it. Shit.